name's Marvin. I'm the founder of the Scholars of Success podcast, and I have my awesome friend, Marissa Green. Boop, 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 boop. I'll take it this time. She is in real estate. She is an amazing friend. She's part of the Tacoma Connect fam. And then shout out to Wafed Bank, personally to David and Daniel for allowing us to use. This is their golf simulator room, and I'm like, I didn't know a bank needed one, but I guess we need one, especially in downtown Seattle. So first off, Marissa, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much. And also, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be the first person that you interview in this space.
I know. I was like, listen, I got to make it special. So I was like, yep, we're going to bring Marissa over here. And thank you for making the trek from where you live. And so, being able to talk on this podcast again, I want to encourage and inspire people to really focus on what they want to do and why they want to do it, not just looking at social media and saying, oh, my God, it's cool to do X, because I think that, there are people who do bandwagon, I think is the term, where they want to jump on something and then there's really no game in it and just for like the money. There's like no purpose, very, I guess, short-sighted.
Yeah.
So I really want to get to know you and hear your story. So let's pull it all the way back. What was childhood like? Where were you like raised? What was that situation for you?
Yeah. So I was raised in Portland, but born in California.
Okay.
And I was born into a pretty large family. I'm the 10th of 12 kids.
Oh, my.
Yes. So my parents were wild as hell, first of all, for doing that. But yeah, so.
Shout out to the parents? Question mark.
Right. I was born into a large family. And growing up in Portland was actually quite interesting. It's a very diverse area, but our little pocket was a little bit more concentrated with Black and brown folks.
Okay.
And it's actually interesting because we ended up being gentrified and displaced out of Portland, which is actually something that unfortunately was part of my childhood trauma, but also part of my story of resilience and even in what I'm doing right now. So yeah, from there, I lived in Vancouver, Washington for several years, graduated from high school there. And then in 2011 is when my family moved up to the Seattle area.
So like when you first moved from California, like what age did you move from California to Vancouver?
Oh, I was 3. So
okay.
I didn't really have a recollection of like actually living in California.
Okay. So you're like, yeah, I'm like, wee, this is fun. And then it wasn't until like Vancouver then where like you grew up most of your like teens to like young adult life, or was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Literally middle school is
Okay.
when I was in Vancouver, Washington. And then after I graduated high school, I went to like one semester of school in college in Vancouver area, and then I was in Seattle after that.
So what was your first like thought growing up in like the Seattle, like Washington area? How did it feel for you, especially with like the larger family? Because like I have an older sister and 2 parents, so I can only imagine like it was kind of like the previous generations that were like, big families more than like 5, 6, 7. So you're saying like you were like the youngest, or
I have 2 younger siblings.
2 younger siblings.
But I will say, yeah, I actually don't hear about large families like mine very often.
Right.
I think I've met like one other person that had a large family and they had like 14 or something. So that was wild to hear. Somebody
Right.
that actually had more siblings than me. But yeah, it happens very rarely.
Right. The only times I've seen it was like on like TLC. It was like John and Kate plus 8, and then there was this one with the Christian family. They had over like 15 or 16 kids. I'm like, you're raising a village at that point. It's not even a family.
Look, I know that, like, not to bring religion into it, but it definitely played a part in
For sure.
how they're, because I grew up Christian, so that definitely played into a part of how many siblings I had. But I am the 10th. There I have 2 younger siblings. And it's actually interesting because I feel like I got the older sibling perspective
Right.
and the youngest sibling perspective just because of where I'm placed
Right.
as the 10th kid. Like most of my older siblings were out of the house,
Wow.
Even by the time I came around, I think like 2 or 3 of my siblings were already out of the home. So by the time I was like really conscious, and especially getting into like middle school and stuff, I was like the oldest in the home. So I have like both of those perspectives. It's very interesting.
Isn't that crazy? And just to get a little more context, like what is the age gap? Because people talk about like my dad's dad, the age gap was pretty significant between the siblings. So was the age gap pretty big between like the oldest and then the many other children on the list?
Between the oldest and the second oldest, yes, there's like 6 years in between.
Okay.
But no one else has a very large age gap. Like, as you can imagine, you know what I mean? Like, with 12, it's like back-to-back pregnancies, basically, at that point.
You raised and bred a decade.
Yeah, like, literally. So, like, me and my sibling that is right before me, it's like 2 years. And then me and the sibling that's right after me, my sister Selena, she's also my bestie. Shout out to Selena.
Yeah.
It's 2 years also. So it's like
It's reasonable.
It's pretty close. Okay. Yeah.
And while we're talking about that, I know one of your siblings has a podcast, and I want to make sure
Selena.
Let's shout her out. So Selena, what's her podcast called?
Her podcast is called the Hot Girls Healing Podcast.
We shout out to you, the Hot Girls
Healing Podcast. Yes, check it out if you haven't. Boop, 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 boop.
So I obviously want to talk more about that, but can you describe like what her podcast is about? Let this be a plug for her as well.
Oh, absolutely. Love to plug her.
Yeah.
So it's actually an amazing podcast. And what she does is she explores different avenues of healing, even some that other folks wouldn't necessarily attribute to healing. She's had so many great episodes. She's had, like, one of the ones that I love the most is the episode that she had about hypnotism. So she had a hypnotist on, and he was talking about self-hypnotizing and healing through hypnotization, which I thought was super cool in that whole journey. She's had, like, conversations about sex, conversations about literally just healing through so many different ways and so many different avenues.
Right.
And that's what I love about it, because wellness is really important to me as well, like overall wellness. And a lot of people don't realize that there's so many ways to heal, and there's so many things that you can do that can be healing for you.
Right. And to give context, like, healing is not just there's a one way to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many different ways to do it. And people are like, oh, this is the one way to do it. I'm like, I'm sorry. You can't say that, because there are so many people, and people heal at different rates and heal differently depending on the level of the trauma. So I am a big advocate for healing. I have been on a whole like self-discovery, like shadow work for the past like 2-3 years. And I feel like now I'm starting to see like, wow, a lot of that work helped me be who I am now. So,
yeah, isn't that wild? Especially going through shadow work. Like,
right.
You really do just kind of see how some of your traumas have shaped you as a person and as an adult, and those things that you need to start unlearning and undoing in order to like still embrace that, right? Because it's part of your journey, but also to move past and through that.
Yeah, like again, like learning to harness the trauma in a way that's positive, because yeah, you can't live in it forever. Like, it sucks because there are people who think that way. Like, I can't move on because of X. And it's like, hey, look, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't want to play this card, but I feel like there are people who have it so much worse than you, number one. But also, again, taking the time to look at yourself is like, am I limiting myself because I'm staying in this spot where I'm acting triggered, I'm not healing, and then that's also allow me to limit maybe the relationships or opportunities and the connections I'm getting, even just the growth in your personal life.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me actually with healing, is that I like to live a good and happy life, an enriching life. And can I do that if I'm allowing myself to be so entrenched in my trauma that, because I'm going to be here anyway, you know what I mean? So like, how is the quality of my experience here if I'm allowing myself to just be entrenched in? And then also there's new traumas every day. Like, we've all existed this past year, even I will say, you know what I mean? So it's
traffic
like
in downtown Seattle.
No, but like there's so much, you know what I mean? So it's like and some people don't have a choice for it to become debilitating, because we all also deal with it differently. But I will say that is one of the driving forces for me, is I don't want to limit my life, and I want to have a good quality of life.
Facts.
So in order for me to do that, I have to allow myself to go through those motions and the process of healing. And it's a lifelong journey too. So
yeah, one of my friends, Danielle, who we kind of talked about earlier, she says you never really heal 100% from your traumas and your triggers. Like, they're still a part of you, but it's how we modulate ourselves. How do we regulate that feeling? It's like, boom, you get triggered. I'm like, are you about to go like ape shit and like cuss people out? No, but you sense within yourself, like, this still bothers me.
Exactly. That's 110% true.
Yeah. And so we already haven't even started the podcast, and we're already dropping in the gem, so I'm pumped.
Period.
So let's talk about, because I know you mentioned to me like fitness is a big deal, but like in high school or in college, did you play any sports at all, or?
In high school, I danced for a little bit.
Okay.
The unfortunate part of being in a large family is that you can kind of get lost in the shuffle and not end up having as much attention, put on you.
Sure.
So that actually kind of stopped me from pursuing like many sports. Like even in middle school, I did track for like a week, but it was like once I'm like, okay, so it's going to be hard for me to get to my meets. No one is actually going to come. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
then you realize how much, what am I really doing this for? Was like kind of my thought as a child.
Right.
And then it was kind of the same in high school too. But I've always been kind of an active person. So even if I'm not in some organized sport, I'm going to be active.
Right. I feel like you have to be. Another one of my friends, he was on the podcast, Ty from Tacoma Connect as well. He's like, you should find some way to work out like your mind, your body, and then some sort of like engaging activity. We're talking about like fighting, like combat sports, but you could do dancing, like some things that are like exciting, but it's not in the gym working out, or
Right.
Because your body needs a little bit of everything. It can't just be gym all the time or cardio all the time. You got to have a good balance,
Yeah.
of wellness and working out. So,
Exactly. And that movement is a way to release trauma and energy
Right.
from your body. I personally love to dance. So like
Okay.
dancing or walks are two things that I do when I'm not like in the gym / when I can.
Yeah.
That I will use to like get that movement in.
Yeah, my favorite place to walk right now, it's either Lake Washington, like along Lake Washington, Woodinville, like when you're in like the winery area, there's like the long stretches of paths between the different wineries, and then like any waterfront, like Seattle or Edmonds waterfront. Those are my favorite places to walk. But
Yeah.
you touched on something, because I feel that when we start doing like sports, especially in that like middle school to like high school age, if you don't have a strong sense of self, it's very easy to just drop out of things.
Yeah.
So like, obviously now you're established, like first off, real estate agent, and we're talking about that in a moment. But
Yes.
how did that transition? Because you're talking, because I've had series of my life where I saw that I was quitting a lot of things and I wasn't really being consistent. So what was that like spark for you? It's like, I need to like stay consistent at something or be great at something.
Yeah. Well, it definitely wasn't in my teen years or middle school, because I was
Okay.
literally a kid. That's when you're even trying to figure out who you are as a person and separating what you think and believe from what has been indoctrinated in you.
Right.
So for me, actually, it started to happen later in my 20s, because that's when I'm starting to have a new identity, first of all, because I became a parent at 25. And so now you're in this new identity. Your old self literally dies. And so you have to start rediscovering who you are from there anyways. Like that journey as a whole is going to force you to be, kind of step into that new person. But that is actually when I started becoming a lot more self-aware as to who I am, what my values are, where I see my life and what I see for myself, and then now my child. And it's through that, right? Like that kind of started the discovery, and then it just has added on to it as the years have gone, as I've had different experiences, as I've tried different things,
Right.
as I've gotten different education through therapy. Like there's just been so many ways that has kind of took me along that journey and had me rediscovering myself and rediscovering different parts of myself. Even through like astrology has had me like been something that has allowed me to kind of rediscover or like just discover parts of myself, because you're so close to yourself that sometimes you can't really see what you can't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like astrology is a way that allows you to kind of step outside of yourself while you're in yourself at the same time, and kind of see those parts of yourself that maybe you weren't so cognizant of. But now you see it here on paper and like, wow, actually that is me. That is something that I tend to do.
Right. What I'm a Pisces, and just to let you know, what's your astrology sign?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay, Capricorn. Okay, cool. I don't know if they work together or not, but it's working out. So, God, I had something. Shit. As you were talking, and you're talking about like not just signs, but identifying like certain characteristics in astrology. What were those things for you that caught your attention? And then, as adding a little note to this as well, like you said you were discovering yourself after you had your child, and that was very much the same for me. Like, it was even a little bit before then with my ex, and I was like, holy shit, like, now it's like you're in a whole different frame of mind because it's not just you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
now you have to, like, you're teaching a child how to operate, how to think, how to be, and so it's not just about trying to be cool. It's like, I need to raise this kid not to just do good, but to be raised well in a society now where it's like it's okay to be, I wouldn't say average, but that's kind of what's taught, unfortunately. So, I really love that. The whole point of, hey, you have to be intentional now, especially after that point of, hey, now, like, you're raising a child and you want to correct those mistakes that you went through and help them just be so much better off. That's so.
No, that's so real. And also, to go back a little bit, because you said, like, being in a relationship, you also learn about yourself through your relationships too. So
Facts.
like, through my relationship was also a way that I learned about myself, through my relationships with myself, with my partner, with my friends, with my siblings,
Right.
with my mom. Like, it really just, everyone, right? Like, through your relationships, you also learn about yourself. But within astrology specifically, that had me learning about myself was, so we all know, like, what our sun sign is, right? Like, that's the basic level of astrology.
Right.
But as I started to kind of read more into it, it's just learning that, first of all, you're not just your sun sign. There's so many other signs and planets, that are kind of affecting you. And then also just reading up on those. Like, I went to astro.com if you want to know where you can read your birth chart for free.
Hey, shout out to astro.com.
Exactly. And you just have to know the time you were born, the place, and then obviously the day. Like, down to 15 minutes, it changes, like, your rising sign. So you really do need to know, like, within a 15-minute time frame of when you're born. And it will give your entire ass chart. And some things you will resonate and some things won't, right? Because it's all influence about, at that very specific point when you were born. But as you change and you grow, you kind of start to see how that energy has manifested within you. And then also how you have changed away from some of those parts that you will find within your shadow self, if that makes sense.
Yes, because I remember someone telling me, like, especially when it came to signs, I had, like, a friend of mine from Michigan, and she had done that. I don't know if it was the same website, but she'd sent me screenshots and videos. Like, I put your thing in there, and it, like, I was reading at that point in time, I was like, this is my fucking life. Like, right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucking accurate.
It'll literally be, like, when people don't believe in astrology, I'm like, nah, you haven't read your birth chart, and that's why.
It's like, you think it's just, like, the Chinese zodiac. Like, you think it's, like, like, at the Chinese restaurants, they just have the little description. No, there's so much more in depth. And I'm not even saying I'm negative about it. Like, I'm very intrigued by it because it's like the accuracy of it is like, yo, you must be stalking me right now. You must be reading, like, my data and everything. And I'm like, holy shit, how do you know it to
it's the
this
planets.
T? Yeah, the stars are in alignment for everything that you want. So let's turn it this way. So you had mentioned earlier that your family experienced gentrification, and that really propelled you to take the path into real estate. Was there, like, a specific moment that was, like, I wouldn't say, like, your martyr moment, but like, this is the moment I remember that was like, hey, this is gonna take me into this field because, like, this is fucking ridiculous that this happened?
Not necessarily. And I will say it wasn't a straight path right into real estate.
Okay,
Like, I've actually been in housing in different capacities. Most of my, like, career, actually, I have been in leasing and property management. I was in corporate housing for a while. I worked in homelessness prevention. So it's just that theme of housing, right? And I wouldn't say there was one moment, but there was a series of moments, because being displaced from our home in Portland, we had a beautiful home, ended up losing that to some predatory lending or what have you. We ended up in Vancouver. And there have been a couple times throughout my childhood where I actually experienced homelessness. Like, not the, like, you're living in the tents homelessness. It looked very different because I have family. So, like, there's always somewhere that we could go, technically. But you know what I mean? It's not like you're home.
Right.
And so I think that theme is kind of what led me to be for housing to be something that is important to me, like being in leasing, and also actually getting into my professional career and then seeing the exploitation, housing laws being broken, just seeing how other people have had similar experiences that I have had due to either systemic failures or just like outright exploitation from these systems.
Wow. First off, I didn't know about, I just thought you were only doing real estate. So thank you for catching me up on that. Would you say, again, those experiences with with corporate housing, with homeless housing, with, how has that shaped like your perspective when it comes to now entering real estate? And by the way, who do you real estate with? Who's your brokerage? We're doing all the plugs right now.
Yeah, so I'm affiliated with Keller Williams out in Kent.
Boop, 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 boop.
Shout out to Keller Williams. Actually, yeah, I do love the brokerage, so
Cool.
definitely shout out to Keller Williams.
Okay, cool. And so again, how did those experiences shape how you approach real estate? Especially, people think of real estate like we were talking about earlier, and it's like there are people actually care about their clients. There are people that just show up to open houses and they just don't give no shits. And then there are people that are just they're only there to talk to clients and that's it. Like they're not trying to like engage and have like a build a rapport and relationship sort of situation.
Well, I will say relationship building is actually extremely important in any like service industry, but like I would say not necessarily more so in real estate, but just because a real estate transaction is such a big deal, it's really important in that avenue, right? Like it's important to be connected with the right person if you are doing a real estate transaction, because you're going to need someone who's going to be patient and educational, someone that's going to advocate for you, someone who's knowledgeable, someone who can negotiate, someone who's not going to back down for challenges.
Right.
And so I would just say that, first of all, housing is a human right. That is one of the things that baseline we all need it to survive. Like the amount of people every year that end up losing their lives because they're out in the cold is literally crazy, especially since there are homes that are empty. Like when I worked in nonprofit, I actually found out some things. Those were actually the moments, not necessarily my Mara moment. Like I almost want to say it was like a villain origin story a little bit, but no, finding out that it costs less money to house everyone than it does to do like sweeps and others and incarceration and other forms of displacement when we're trying to intervene in homelessness was something that I was like, what the actual F?
Yeah.
Like it actually costs less to house everyone. Finding out that 1 in 13 units in apartments are empty when there are people out on the streets. Right? Like those, just knowing those types of things are things that actually was kind of enraging. But if anything, it also fueled me to do more of the work that I was doing, specifically when I was in nonprofit, because now here I'm in a position where I'm working to prevent homelessness. And so I'm finding out all of this information and, making sure that I have relevant information so I can serve people in the best way. And so finding those things out was like actually super wild. It definitely fueled my work. It had me very impatient, I will say, with funders, and especially funders, because a lot of them actually are so disconnected from like the actual issues that they don't know what to do. They're not actually doing things that are beneficial or helpful. And a lot of times they can be harmful, you know what I mean? And that's like part of the system. But I would say that is one of like something that has been stark in my journey is learning just how easily homelessness can literally be solved. It is absolutely a societal choice, a systemic choice for housing to be in the crisis that it is, for homelessness to be in the crisis that it is, because it's absolutely solvable and it's actually cheaper than people are like up in their arms about their tax dollars and your tax dollars are going to war. Like the reason why you're up in arms about your tax dollars and then you're still facing these systemic issues like homelessness that we're having to continuously see is because the funds aren't actually being allocated correctly to solve those issues.
Right, and I want to say, like, first off, have you seen like a change? Because, like, so I live in Shoreline. I'm okay with saying that, and there's like.
Wait, why wouldn't you be okay with saying you live in Shoreline?
Well, because people these days, people don't want to share the cities they live in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, what's wrong
No,
with Shoreline?
no. It's not about that. It's just people are like, I don't give a shit. Like you could Google me, whatever. But some people respect like their privacy. But in North Seattle, like you see a lot of like, I mean, during COVID, you would see all of like Soto, like some parts of northern Seattle where people had their trailers and people living in their in those situations, and they've actually put like not homeless, but yeah, essentially homeless people in these like vacant hotels or in like apartments, which is cool. But then I also want to take the next step and say, is there more that we can do than just give them a place to stay? Because again, I'm not plugged in, so I don't I maybe this is a biased perspective or this is an uneducated perspective, but it's like, okay, you give them a place to stay and that helps, but are they actually going to, like, this is going to sound bad, are they actually going to find ways to like better themselves in their life?
Right.
Because you give them a place to stay, and this is not just one building. There are multiple buildings literally around like North Seattle on 99, and like these are where homeless people stay. And there's also these kind of like smaller sheds, like little villages.
Yeah.
Have you seen
The
those?
tiny houses? Yeah, they have a lot of tiny house communities. I will say that housing is the basic level, right?
Right.
But I also feel like there clearly needs to be more deeper work, right, to help folks, because a lot of folks have mental health issues, addiction issues, and things that actually, or disabilities that make it where they actually cannot work. So they can't be worried about bettering themselves when they don't even have a place to stay. But I will also say on another level that I don't think that we should be putting that on people just because they're homeless when there are people that are actual pieces of shit that have a home. And the reason why they have a home is because someone is supplying them a home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have family money or whatever, their house, and they're pieces of shit, and no one's asking them to be a better person just because they don't have to see them out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't think we should put that on anyone who's homeless. There are people that do drugs and they're in their homes, but they're able to do it in the privacy of their homes.
Fair.
And so no one sees them out. You know what I mean? So I think the focus, whether we're regardless of worrying about if they're trying to be a better person or if they're trying to heal their trauma or whatever, that's all part of the journey. Yeah, sure, they should be doing that if they can, but let's focus on housing them and getting them safe and off the streets, because you can't even do any of that other stuff if you're stuck in survival mode.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too. Is like, if you're always focused on trying to find a place to stay, what you're gonna eat on not even just on like a day, like by meal to meal basis, drinking water, like restrooms, showers, things like that. Again, how can you focus on all the other extra shit?
It gets so deep, Marvin. Like, I don't want to get super dark for a second, but like literally when I was doing outreach in nonprofit, there was a woman who was on drugs, and the reason why she got on drugs was because she was homeless and she was getting SA'd, and she started taking drugs to stay awake so she wouldn't be SA'd. Like things like that, right? So then will we tell this woman now who's now addicted to drugs as a survival method that when she gets in a home, now you need to worry about, what are you going to do to better yourself? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not fair. We need to worry about housing people.
Right. So then if all things good and you were Governor Green, right, let's put that hat on for a moment. And if you were to say, like, what would be your point strategy for homelessness? Because this is a really sensitive topic for me, because like, I grew up being here and I've seen what it's like in the Philippines and been in the slums, and the fact that, like, again, it's not like America's a third world country anymore. There's a lot of resources and a lot of money.
There are some neighborhoods that are very much third world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sorry. Again.
No, I'm just saying because I feel like there's always this misconception that because there's so much wealth in the U.S. that everyone is living lavishly and there's no reason for anyone to be struggling, and you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's not. There's a lot of neighborhoods where people are living in worse than third world conditions. So I just like to challenge that, because no, America is not this mecca of wealth and luxury and lavish for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you hit me on that. I was like, oh shit, maybe I gotta correct. I gotta check myself now. I'm like, all right, Marvin. But okay, let's go back to that then. So if you were to say, like, this would be like your thoughts on homelessness and how to fix it, like, you obviously, again, you're very passionate about it and wanting to see like long-term, change happen there. What would that look like for you, maybe in like a 5-year span?
Oh, that is a heavy ass question, because I am not a politician at all.
Right.
But I will say that at the basic level, definitely providing housing for people that need to be housed,
Right.
providing mental health services, addiction services, safe injection sites. People are like just hearing things that people are frustrated about, and also that I've been frustrated about, taking my daughter to the park and coming across a needle. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like things
right.
like that. I feel like safe injection sites are something that would mitigate that, right? They're somewhere where if they are in addiction, they can go get safer dosages. So we're dealing with less overdosing, and then they can leave their needles there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're actually spaces designated for that, and then it's not all over the place. So definitely housing, definitely those mental health services, definitely safe injection sites.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the start of it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I got right off the top of my head. I would have to
Cool.
think very long and hard to
Okay,
actually
okay,
answer that
okay.
question in its entirety.
So we'll come back. We'll come back next time on the next podcast. I'll be like, hey, part two. So let's
Not you giving me some homework.
listen. I gotta give you something to be excited about. Come on. So let's go to real estate now. How long have you been doing real estate?
I have been doing real estate since January of 2024.
Okay. So wow, you are brand new to the game.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
still
but-
pretty new to the game,
Hey,
but
so
still true to this. So make
Hey.
no mistake.
she true to the game, guys. Boo, 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 boo. So why the transition from, because obviously again you sound very passionate about housing, but what was the shift to go from, what was the last industry you were in before you went into real estate?
The last industry was nonprofit. I was part of leadership in my family's nonprofit organization.
What is that called?
It's called Abundance of Hope Center. So
Okay.
definitely tap in. And Abundance of Hope Center works to reduce and prevent homelessness for at-risk youth and their families.
Okay.
And this came from my mom actually being very passionate about youth specifically, and wanting to provide better services for youth and their families, and also noticing how homelessness was so rampant here in the Seattle area. And then also all of the things, like people don't just become homeless overnight. Like
Right.
there's usually a domino effect that kind of leads to that. And so the premise of the organization is kind of catching folks when they're in that domino effect to stop that process to homelessness. So like providing educational workshops, providing opportunities for internships, basic needs like financial assistance, food, clothing, things like that, are all parts of Abundance of Hope's services.
Okay.
So I that's the last thing that I worked. And for me, it was kind of now being ready to make that switch. But also, I will say, I have been wanting to get into real estate since like 2016. So this was like going into nonprofit was kind of a detour to help my family build something that was actually really important for the community and something that was larger than me, right? So
Right.
I kind of like took that detour, then came back to it. In like 2022, I think is when I started like taking the education to get my real estate license. And it was just, I'm still very much in the organizing space. But, and cause community is very important to me. Like just as a whole, I'm always going to be in the organizing space and, you know, in community. But it was wanting to take things a step further now, right? Because, folks, not only is housing a human right, but real estate is something that is one of the number one wealth building strategies in the country.
Right.
So now we're moving past just, you know, having housing, but let's build generational wealth. Let's actually
Right.
do something that can be really good, not just for us, but for our kids and maybe their kids.
Right.
And so getting into real estate was taking that next step.
And so real estate, and I feel like people hear real estate and it's like, it could be double-edged sword. Like some people say like, oh my God, that's so cool. And some people are like kind of turned off by it. Similar to like, I wouldn't say like used car salesman, but like the relationship when people see, like hear the word real estate, it affects them differently. Have you ran into people that like questioned like why real estate?
Not in like a nefarious way or
Yeah,
anything.
not in a
but
way that was like condescending or like
no,
why?
just in a way that's like curious, which is fine, right? Because,
Right.
have the curiosity. But I will say, for what you're speaking of and the ways in which people perceive it, can be because of, in part, because I don't want to, speak generally. It
Right.
could be in part in the way that person who is a real estate agent approaches it. So,
sure.
like, for me, real estate is, I'm providing a service. I'm not convincing anyone that they should buy a home.
Right.
I'm here to help you and advocate for you and, provide services should you decide I'm ready for this and this is the step that I want to take. And I think that maybe that can make the difference, because some people, real estate technically is a sales profession, right?
Right.
And sure. But for me, I look at it as a service industry. Like,
Right.
you're providing a service to someone rather than you're trying to sell them something. Because really, a house will sell itself. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you see the right house, you want a house. So no one's selling you getting a house.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is that it's always typically someone's approach, and it's not just the massive real estate in general. It's just like one specific experience they had that made them go so far off that like they think now real estate is just real estate, and they cringe. Now, what would you say is like, obviously your work experience has factored into this, but what is the most rewarding experience now that you've entered real estate and you're helping people find homes and helping them, buy that perfect home for them? What's the joy that you get out of real estate?
Honestly, that is the joy. Seeing someone get to the closing table, seeing someone get to their 1-year anniversary, you know what I mean? Seeing someone make that house that they put an offer in on and it got accepted, and then now they're in it and actually make it a home, that is actually very rewarding, right? Because it kind of heals that little girl in me that didn't have the housing stability.
Wow.
Like, it's very rewarding to actually not only be with someone during that, but actually being their fiduciary in that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm helping you facilitate this. I'm negotiating for you. And it's a satisfaction to be able to see them go to do that and actually close and make it to their 1 year and all of that.
And first off, too, and I've gotten that sense from you as we've gotten to know each other that, again, relationship building was important, but also was the fact of, hey, again, even when we chatted before we even got on the podcast, it was like, when it came to talking about homes, it's like, I just want to help people find the right home for them. Mm-hmm. Like, the wording and the vernacular and your attitude about real estate is, I would say, is very high level. Because I've been to many open houses, mainly in the East Side Bellevue area, because I do want to own a crib out there one day in Bellevue. But the idea is sometimes it's very cold shoulder. Like, you go in there and real estate say hi, and I get they just don't want to be in people's space. But then there are some people that go overtly too far, and they're like really walking you through the whole house, like you can't just walk yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just more like, again, I really admire that about you, just you being so personable and saying, hey, like, I really care about the people who do work with me being able to find that right home. And, what did, during the process of you getting your real estate license and becoming now licensed, what would you say was like the hardest part, or like things that you remember, like, man, this was really challenging? Because I'm going to tell you, like, back in high school, I had major test anxiety. So I know tests, like, they don't scare me as much now, but even still, I'm like, ooh, like, I'm building a little bit of a sweat. Like, thinking about
no,
tests.
I feel it. I actually hate testing too. Let me tell you, I knew I needed to pass that state exam the first time because I didn't know if I was going to take it again.
Right.
Like, that's just what it was, because I hate testing. But because I hate testing, it actually pushes me to make sure that I'm prepared when I take the test, because I don't want to have to take it again.
Right. And when I went to automotive school, and I studied so hard on, like, I looking back, I could have studied harder, but it was the fact, like, now it's like you get this like wall of like shame, or this like feeling of shame, like, I gotta take this test again. How much money do I spend
discouraging.
on this test?
Oh my, no, actually, because that was another thing. I knew I wasn't gonna pay that $200 again.
Right. I was like, dear Lord, and like, in my world, it's like the dealership will only reimburse you the first time and when you get it. So like, you can spend how much money? It's like $70-$80 per test, and there's like maybe 10 tests, and you have to master them within a certain time. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but I shifted out of that world a long time ago. But one of my questions I want to ask you along this journey of life, people have like guiding principles or like, I have a friend that calls them gems, but these values that have led you to who you are, to not just becoming successful in real estate, but also just being like successful, well-rounded in your life. What would you say are some of those maybe traits or attributes that you have?
I love that question. Also, just because I didn't answer your last question,
You're good.
taking the exam was not the hardest part for me. I would say the hardest part for me is really being a little bit more extroverted than I am, and kind of like the lead generation of it all, right? Like I have to go out and I have to meet so many more people because everyone needs to know who I am, and they need to know what I do, and they need to think about me first when they think about real estate. Like,
listen, I will let
that
you,
can be one that's a little challenging.
I will let you know, like, I will be your lead generator. I'll send you all the people. Trust
Love
me.
that.
Listen. Boop, 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 boop. So, let's go back to that. So, like, principles,
Yes.
key values, things that, like, when, like, people talk about building their foundation and, like, knowing themselves, like, what are some of those attributes or characteristics like that is who Marissa is?
Yeah, I would definitely say being someone who navigates with integrity and truth, staying true to myself, not dimming my light or anything for anyone, not allowing any situations or places to shrink me, and being a trustworthy person. Like, you know what I mean? It's very important for me to be someone of integrity. And so I try to be someone of integrity.
Right. And I've already had a few guests on the podcast, but it's respect, integrity, and being authentic. Like, that's like the
very
few
much
ones
so.
that I'm like, wow, like, you start seeing this correlation of, like, it's not like some fancy title or some like prestigious school. It's like, hey, just being a good person and helping others and being part of your community. Now, let's ask this. So if we enter like a dreaming segment, right? What if you had a blank check right now and like you could live in any neighborhood in Washington, where would you live, knowing like real
Not
estate?
in Washington. Dang.
Okay, let's say not in anywhere. It could be anywhere.
Oh,
Or it could be
okay.
in
I know
Washington.
the answer in Washington and outside. I will say
Tell me
that.
both. Tell me both.
Well, so outside, I would love to live on the continent. I don't know which country yet.
Okay.
But yes, I would love to go back to the continent of Africa and explore those countries, and that's where I want to live if it was anywhere on Earth. In Washington, there are a few areas that I love. I really love Renton, which is where I live now.
Hey.
Shout out to Renton. I love Renton. I would also West Seattle, which is funny because we've been talking about West Seattle so much today. I love West Seattle. I lived in West Seattle. It was so fun. It was very walkable.
Right.
So love West Seattle. It would absolutely be one of those two areas, I think.
Okay.
By the water, for sure.
It's got to be by the water. We're in Washington. We got to take
Absolutely.
advantage of that.
Like, it has to be.
If not, just go Eastern Washington, like where there's no water. You know what I mean? Like,
You just want to be in Bellevue, like.
no. Okay, so if you want to know mine, it's specifically this is where I enter Bougieville because people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Medina. If I were in.
Say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a beautiful neighborhood. I don't know that I would want to live there though, just because.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like, okay, because we talk about generational wealth. We talk about having like legacy properties, like.
Oh yeah, Medina for sure.
Well, the thing is too, I would just want to have a house there because the thing about Medina, there's so many dope houses, but you don't get shit on land. Like, you maybe have a backyard and a front yard.
Exactly.
But like this guy wants acreage. Like, but I think of it in the way it's like, if you can do that, then fuck it. Like, get a helicopter, have a helicopter pad on the legacy property, and then just fly over to your main house. Like, I don't know. I think differently, and people are like, how the fuck do you think you're gonna get that? It's like,
so you would have two main houses?
Well, if I need to go to the city.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, wait, how does that work?
So, like, if I had the legacy property, which is somewhere along the lines of like over 200 acres,
but not in Medina.
Not in no. I'm
Okay,
thinking
gotcha.
like I would like either the peninsula where there's a lot of land, or like not Cle Elum, but like oh god, I'm trying to remember where it is. Like I'm trying to. I am. Oh my god, I'm blanking right now. How can I blank this? But there's a place in there's a place in Colorado, and I want to find a way to create my own version. It's a lot of money, but the executive producer of Discovery basically built this this private ranch hotel, all in one, all inclusive place. It was on sale during COVID, and I was like, I just want to see what this price would be.
That sounds dope. Now I want to look it up.
250 million.
Yikes! How much land was it?
It's over 10,000. You could build 200 houses on that.
10,000 acres.
10,000 acres. Like it's like a literally whole
That
city.
is huge. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
But for me, that idea has stuck in my head for so long. It's like I want to find a way to create that. So if I have family or say when I do have more kids, I'm like, you don't have to work. Like you can get a job if you want, but you have a place to stay, and you're thinking ahead and not just again. I'm not saying I don't want my kids to not work. I'm just saying you have a foundation to stand on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a big frustration for me. I've heard people say, especially in this society where it's hey, you're 18, figure it the fuck out. Get your job.
That's so wild too.
Right. Get your own car, get your own place. And I'm like, cool. But, there are other cultures that they build the units together and then they compound and they magnify and they do so much more. And it's why don't we just look at these other cultures for a moment, see what they're doing? Because they're doing something right there when they're helping their families do well. One person does construction, one person does accounting, one person does real estate. Boom, they have a whole foundation for a family business.
Yeah.
So there's that whole tangent. Sorry.
No, that's real.
Yeah. So real estate, how has it been going right now? The market, because we talked about this earlier. It's I don't understand the real estate market. So what does it look like to you right now? Is it decent? Is it frustrating? What walk me through that kind of experience.
The best way I would describe it is chaotic. I've been really busy. I know that I've heard a ton of agents have left the industry in the past year.
Wow.
But that's because people think real estate is easy when they're getting their license. There's pretty low barriers to entry in order to become a real estate agent.
Right.
But that doesn't make you a success, right? Just because you have the license. And you don't automatically start selling just because you have the license. You actually have to go find leads. People need to be able to trust you. You know what I mean? You need to actually successfully execute deals. And so it's been great for me. I literally love it. It's not easy. And I think that is, the market is what the market is. I don't know what more to, to describe it by. It's what it is. There are definitely people that are selling and buying right now. So.
Right. And what is have you felt your mindset shift? When you've entered real estate and being at the place you are now? And I just emphasize real estate because this is what you're doing and this is what you're passionate about. What part of your mind has been hey, when I first started real estate, I had to make these adjustments knowing that this was going to help me become successful?
Oh, absolutely. I would say my mindset shifted literally even a month ago. So I recently got on a team, which has been really exciting and rewarding for me already so far. Shout out to Dee Dee. That's my mentor, and she's our team lead as well. But part of that has been getting a lot of business coaching.
Okay.
And I would say even just from being in the industry, I've become a lot more disciplined. I've learned something that should have been obvious. And I won't say that I necessarily didn't know it, but I didn't really put it into practice as much. It's just also the realization that who you are as a person is going to affect your business. When you are an entrepreneur, when you are a business owner, so how you take care of and show up for yourself is very heavily going to affect how you show up for your business and how you are able to navigate your business. So that has been one of the biggest things for me, is just learning that I have to I can't be oh, I'm not going to eat today. And no, then I'm weak. Now I'm hangry. I can't, I'm not thinking right. You know what I mean? It's affecting my business. So just being able to hone in on that and realizing that my investment into myself, my skincare, my gym routine, no, literally my wellness, therapy, meditation, all of that stuff is gonna ultimately be better for my business, because now I'm able to operate my business even better. So definitely the discipline, definitely the wellness, And also, it's been challenging kind of toxic productivity for me because
Ooh.
I have been one of those people that have thought like if I'm not busy, if I'm not doing something, I'm not advancing in any way.
Right.
But one of the things that I took this kind of training. So Keller Williams has lots of training. That's one of the things that I really like about the brokerage. There's trainings multiple days a week. If you want to know something, you can go to a training. But I did this series called Bold, and there's all these principles. It's something that was like thought up by Gary Keller and like some other folks in the, Keller Williams space. And there was something, one of the principles that really stuck with me was do less better. And I'm like, as someone who's like always thinking, I need to do this, I need to do that. Like seeing something that says do less, but do it better, that stuck with me. And that's something that I have taken into my second year of real estate. And I'm going to be taking it, going forward, is honing in on those few things that are really fruitful that I can really master and just do less and do that better. Then I don't always feel like I have to be doing something. I'm not burning out and crashing out because I'm just always on go.
Right. And to touch on that too, I think it's so powerful because we only have so much productivity every day. Like we start out the day with at best 100%, maybe 95%, right? So how do you manage that on top of the tasks you do? Even for me, I don't have a set calendar. Like I just look at my day like these are my priorities and I'm going to find a way to do them all. Like today, this is one of my highlights of today. I don't really structure my day. I used to like every single hour. And for me, that just turned into stress. I'm like, I got to be here at this time. I got to be exact. I'm like, dude,
exactly.
focus on what you need to do best. And also, sometimes you don't need to be driving like 100%, meaning like you don't need to be so attentive that like this is my focus. Focus on the things that are important, those real estate deals, podcasting, like the things that really matter to you. That's where you bring that 100% energy. So I'm glad you brought that up because, we live in a world, toxic productivity, you said. People just overworking themselves to death.
Yeah, literally.
And they're like, why am I not successful yet? Or like, why is it not working out? It's like, because maybe your stress is really expressing itself in your work. And so people can perceive it as maybe being desperate, people that, overworked, tired, or not bringing that. I don't even say you got to be loving, but you got to be like communicative. You got to have like some warmth to people.
Yeah.
Especially in real estate and even in podcasting. Because if I was up here like, hey, welcome to the podcast, it'd be like,
yeah, everybody doesn't need a mic or a podcast for sure. So I will say,
it's like, welcome to the age of anyone can do something, but it's the very few that put in that work and elevate and learn that really separate themselves.
And have something real to say, not just like a bunch of bullshit that is whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm reading this script. This is so cool. No, I got it. Like even for me, I don't script anything. I bring my heart and I bring like my thoughts and being able to converse and having organic conversation because I've heard podcasts where it's like you can tell someone's doing it on audio and they're reading a script and I'm just like, dude, stop.
Oh no. Yeah, not even that for me. It's just like the quality of the content, I will say, is what it is for me. I've recently got into like listening to podcasts.
Ooh.
And so, like the ones that I enjoy are like the healing podcast. There's one on brain health that I've learned a bunch of gems from.
Ooh,
there's some real estate podcasts that I listen to. There's also a finance one that I've recently gotten into.
Okay.
So it's more so the quality of the content than just like I don't care if you're reading from a script, especially if I can't really tell. But like,
but then when
if
you
it's
can
just
tell,
bullshit,
right? I think
You know
that for
what I
me is
mean?
when you can tell. But no, to add to your point, it's like listen to stuff that's really engaging you because some people might be engaged by listening to like true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
But then there are others that are just like true crime doesn't really enthuse me or excite me, and so it's just like. Okay, you got to find what you like.
Yeah, no, I actually, I'm not mad at some true crime, on a podcast.
Yeah.
But I will say I did read that if you are taking in like a bunch of negative content,
Right.
it actually makes you a more negative person and more pessimistic and things like that. So I'm like, I can't be.
I can attest to that because I used to listen to these audiobooks and it's this app. It's really cool, but these are like independent authors who write these audiobooks. And so, okay, it's cool to check out what they're doing. But I noticed a lot of the characters were super cynical, super pessimistic. And these were different authors. And I'm just like, I noticed myself being more quiet and being more negative. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so I cut that shit out, and I'm like, wow, now I have all this energy, because yeah, like all that, even whether it's fictional or nonfiction, that negative weighs on you
It really
in
does.
some way. So Keller Williams, real estate. We were talking about this earlier, and you're talking about wellness. We'll go back to that. What are some of your like self wellness like habits that these are like synonymous with? If I do this every day, like I checked off, I took care of myself today.
Yes, absolutely. Meditation is one of the things that I absolutely have to do in the morning. I literally wake up early so that I can meditate.
Nice.
I also enjoy journaling, which I don't do as often as I would like, but I find that I like that. It helps me to like put a bunch of thoughts on paper, how I'm feeling, and then when I'm going to sleep, I'm not thinking about all this shit. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
actually there, so I'm able to like get it out. So definitely that. Fitness is a huge part of my wellness. Like I said, it helps you to release energy and release like stagnant energy actually, and
Right.
emotions and things like that. So that is something that is absolutely important for me. What else? I'm also very intentional about what I consume. Not even just food, but like the music that I listen to, the
Right.
shows, like all that stuff is something else that is really important.
Yeah, I remember listening to, it was like John Jones, he's a UFC fighter, and he talked about when I first started learning how to fight and train, I would just go on YouTube and listen to inspirational like clips and music and TED Talks. And
Yeah.
by doing so, it inoculated his mind like, first off, you can be a lot better, but you got to start with this first.
Exactly.
And then another reason why I love the gym, especially when you are consistent with about, working about 4 days a week, something like that, you notice that you can hit more and you build more confidence. And I really believe that humans are multipliers, but we have to put ourselves under a little bit of pressure,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to exercise or just, I wouldn't say situations, but just problem solving,
Yeah.
just growing yourself. Are there any books that you're reading right now, or any like well, you just said podcasts, but any books that you listen to as well, or?
I'm actually reading The Financial Feminist by Tori Dunlap right now.
Okay.
What she is, I just kind of started, so I'm still in the first chapter, literally.
Okay.
Like I just read a few pages yesterday. But the premise of the book is about, as a woman specifically, or a femme, our relationship with money, like historically and finances. And so that has been something that has been, I found her book when I was listening to a podcast, and I don't even remember what the podcast was, but I think she was either being interviewed or I had stumbled upon her podcast and she was interviewing someone. But so far it sounds really good. She is basically talking about our relationships with money, specifically as a woman. Like not too long ago, we could just have credit cards or rent an apartment on our own. And so she's like, historically the relationship that women have had with finances has not been one of like actual education or really good,
Right.
like in general, because for a lot of the time we had to depend on men for finances. And so just kind of going through that and then like rewiring our relationship with money so that we can build generational wealth and have good finances and good financial literacy.
Right. First off, that is important. Like I need to reread some of my financial books. I have like Debt 101, Communication, Sex, and Money. There's a few different books. I'm like, dang. Even like Kiyosaki's books to an extent, because now just the fact that you need to, if you want to learn how to like multiply money, you need to like learn how to manage it first. The money you have, the resources you have. I'm gonna kind of shoot like a left field question to you.
Okay.
Because obviously in today's society that women are bosses. Like women can be CEOs, women can build, and there's this kind of men. Yep. Boop, 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 boop. And so for me, right, because first off, I think it's attractive. I think it's awesome for a woman to do her thing, because at the end of the day, I'm all about freedom of expression. And if you see yourself as a boss because like you want to build companies and you want to add value and do that, run your shit. But then I'm also coming from the perspective, I've had conversations with guys that are just like, man, I just want my lady to stay at home and be with the kids. And so like, What are your thoughts on that as a gal in her late 20s?
Sure.
Sure, late 20s. Just talking about like the shift now, because I feel that even in the dating realm, right? Like it seems like men have, for the most part, have become more passive, and women have become more of like the dominant character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, millennial women are actually out earning their partners.
Oh, this is facts. This is really facts. Like, and there's no judgment on this question. It's just I want to hear your perspective, because it's like I'm around guys, which is fine, but it's like I want to hear the other side of that.
So
argument.
what exactly is the question?
Okay, so my question would be like, what is your perspective on the shift between how women can be their own bosses and how some men perceive, like men should perceive women as, oh, you should just stay at home, like that argument in of itself.
I don't agree that women should stay at home. I actually was a stay-at-home mom at one point, and I fucking hated it.
Right.
So I think that if that woman wants to stay at home and have kids, do that. But I don't think that any of us as women should be doing anything because men want us to. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Fuck all that.
That's what I'm saying. Or like, boop, boop, boop. You know, it's just the fact that, like, look, when you start putting your perspective on others and they can't be themselves, like, and I find myself not even politically, but I find myself very libertarian. So the perspective of people make the choice themselves, and let that be known. Don't let anyone make a decision for you. Obviously, if you're a kid, that's different, but when you grow up, you're an adult, and you can start educating yourself and making decisions. It's just like, hey, you should really think on what you're doing, not someone else doing your thinking for you.
Yeah, I think people should find out what is important to them, and they should do that rather than worrying about. And then obviously, if you have a partner, right, then you and your partner need to figure out what works best for y'all in your own union.
Right.
But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Right, because again, I haven't actually asked a lady that question, so I wanted to hear the other side of that argument. And it's, for me, I'm literally straight in the middle. I'm just like, yo, let a person do what they want to fucking do.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like, people should do what they want to do. As long as they're not hurting anyone else, like, who really cares?
Right. So thank you for answering my left field question. Honestly, I think we're at the point we're kind of winding down. Is there anything else that you want to share? Like, any like shameless plugs, any people that you're like, yo, I want to make sure they get emphasized, just either part of your story, and just, again, this is for you. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm going to shameless plug myself.
Yeah.
I think that folks should definitely find me on IG. My handle is MKG Real Estate _. I'm also on TikTok, MKG Real Estate, or on Facebook, Marissa Clarice with a K, or Marissa Green Real Estate. So I do lots of things other than real estate. I think I'm a pretty cool gal. So definitely follow me. I am team follow back. And stay in touch.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you say that because I have seen people be like, "Yo, follow for follow," and then they unfollow you the minute they do. It's really corny millennial stuff.
It actually is super corny. Because what do you mean? Not you specifically saying follow for follow and then unfollowing.
Yeah, that's a pretty normal thing. It's like, dude, you just asked, and then I also wanted to touch back. So your sister's podcast, I want to mention that one more time.
Yes, the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. She's actually about to wrap up her 3rd season.
Okay.
So one of the things that I love about her podcast, though, I will say specifically, is that any time is a good time to dive in to her older episodes. Because like I said, it's not necessarily relevant to like any specific period. Like any time is all of them are amazing. So tap in.
Yeah, tap in. And also
she's on I don't
No, go.
She's on streaming on all major platforms. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your podcast, that's where you can listen to her.
Listen, and I will say this too. I know it's the Hot Girls Healing Club?
Hot Girls Healing Podcast.
Hot Girls Healing Podcast. If y'all need a guest that's a guy that wants to talk, I'm game. And I'll put that out there.
Oh, it's relevant to men too. She actually had a whole episode about men's mental health. Healing the father wound. She also, it is called Hot Girls Healing Podcast, but it's not just for the girlies. I think anyone, however you identify, can find some gems in there.
Good. Okay, because I'm gonna say too, Selena, yes?
Yes, Selena.
Selena, this is a call out. If you ever want to come on the podcast, just let me know. We'll start that communication. Bam, make that happen. And then I also want to highlight your parents' nonprofit as well.
Yes. To be clear, it's my mom's nonprofit.
Sorry.
No worries. I didn't kind of decipher that. That was her dream. She was a youth advocate. It's been something that she has wanted to do for literal years. It's called Abundance of Hope Center, and there is a resource center in Seattle off of MLK, and the cross street is Genesee is the closest one.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. Donate if you need services. Definitely pop in there. Go to the website abundanceofhopecenter.org and tap in there as well.
Okay, so here's my final question for you. This will be the knock. It's not super deep, but it's meaningful.
Okay.
How do you see yourself bridging the gap in your life in different communities, right? You mentioned you do community events. We got the thrift show, the thrifting event coming up.
Yes, the clothing swap. It is coming up next week.
Yep. And I'll keep on that. I'm making sure I'm pulling up through for that. You're in real estate. Again, you're finding ways to be part of these different circles. How do you see yourself bridging the gap in what you do in these areas?
I just bridge the gap by what is important for me,
right,
what is important to me, and what I enjoy doing. And so I follow that. And then if they intertwine and intersect, that's amazing. But it's more so about feeding what is important to me and exploring my interests and things that I like to, even outside of work, just as a person. So,
okay, cool. And again, thank you so much. Thank you to WAFED for opening up their place for us. Thank you to Keller Williams too. Shout out to you and just what you're doing. Again, it's so cool. Again, being able to connect with so many different people, and you are on literally the top 10 list. This is probably one of the coolest people I've met so far this year.
Thank you.
And so, thank you so much for coming. And anytime you want to come back to the podcast and any events coming up, you can share them to me and I'll post them out for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yay. Bye.